Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Stayntouch Product Enhancements, version 5.75, Enhanced Duration Filters, Detach Accompanying Guest Card, and more, presented by Stayntouch Implementation Consultant, Victor Azul. I'm your host, Erin Fisher, the content writer here at Stayntouch. Today's presentation will cover how you can get the most out of the Stayntouch PMS version 5.75 combined product release. In this webinar, we will explain how to detach an accompanying guest card, demonstrate that accompanying guest names are read-only when a guest card is attached, illustrate new filters for scheduled reports and custom exports, show that seconds have been added to financials, credit card transactions, payments in the activity log timestamps, show that add-on bundle translations are displayed on the guest bill and via Stayntouch Guest Mobility and Guest Kiosk, explain that properties with the Duetto integration can now choose whether or not they want to send both amount before tax and amount after tax in the reservation rate and group messages. Explain that Synexus group block messages now send the amount after tax tag. Share Connect API updates. And finally, demonstrate enhanced payment links that accommodate the deposit rules set by hotels. We'll have a short Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation, and we will answer them in the order they are received at the end. And that's all I have right now. Victor, I'm going to hand the presentation over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
And Erin, can you just confirm you can see my screen?
Yep, all good.
Awesome. All right, everyone. As Erin mentioned, we are going to go over the product enhancements for the release of version 5.74 and version 5.75 here. The first one that we're going to talk about is detaching the accompanying guest card here. You can now simply remove an accompanying guest card from a reservation by clicking the Detach Guest Card button next to the accompanying guest name here. So if I am on my dashboard here, I'm going to click on my arrivals here. I do have a reservation here for Trey Lance. If I open up to see the accompanying guest name on the reservation, I do see Laura Jones attached to this reservation, and I can just simply detach that guest card from this reservation here. Adding on to that, the accompanying guest names are read-only when the guest card is attached. So as you can see here, the company guest name for Laura Jones is grayed out, and I'm unable to edit it or make any changes to that guest name. Again, just reiterating that the accompanying guest names are now grayed out and read-only if a guest card is attached to the reservation, so that users cannot change the name of the accompanying guest card from the accompanying guest section on the stay card. So in order for us to change the name of Laura Jones here, we would either need to detach the card first, and then we can change the name on the accompanying guest card by clicking on the show guest card and just editing the name on the profile itself here. So I can go ahead and show guest card here. Instead of Laura Jones, we'll do Nancy Smith here. We'll go ahead and go back to the stay card. Just going to refresh this by clicking on history and going back into current. And if I open this up, I do see Nancy Smith's name on the reservation now as the accompanying guest here. And I can also detach a guest card here by just simply clicking on detach guest card here, and you'll no longer have that name affiliated there. And then I can also obviously update this to Nancy Smith as well. So that is in regards to the accompanying guest here. The next topic that we're going to cover in regards to the enhancements here are regarding new parameters or filters on our exports and reports here. So I'm going to maneuver over to the menu here. I'm going to go into the reports. I'm going to go to schedule a report and export. The first one that we're going to take a look at is actually the reservations database under the custom exports here. So I went ahead and already created a custom export here, and I already have the reservation export here. You can now select under the duration set filters here the next 365 days, as you can see here, which includes the current date plus the next 365 days. And then you also have the opportunity to select the current plus 12 months as well. When this is selected, the reservation custom export will display the current month plus the next 12 months. So you have these two options available now to you when scheduling the reservation export here. This parameters are also available in the stay export as well here. So I created a stay export here already. And under the duration, I do have options to now select the next 365 days, as well as the current plus 12 months as well here. The report scheduled, a report/export, and then the scheduled reports. All scheduled reports now include the current date when selecting the next 365 days. Previously, the filter did not include the current date. It actually included the current date plus 1. So now you have the true next 365 days included in that parameters if you do select that option there. The next thing we're going to talk about is the business on the books report here. So if I go over to my scheduled reports here and I select new report schedule here, same parameters here, but on the business on the books, I do have the opportunity to select now the next 365 days as well. And then as well as the current plus 12 months here as well. So again, just additional parameters and flexibility when scheduling these reports or exports that you now have. I'm going to jump over now to another topic here regarding the financials and CC transactions here. So I'm going to go over to another test property here, and this is going to be found under the financials, CC transactions, and the payment activity log here. So I'm going to go my financials, CC transactions. We have now added seconds alongside the hours and minutes to the timestamp. The timestamp format is as follows. That will include hour, semicolon, minute, semicolon, second. So again, I'm just going to select a date here and review my transactions for the day here. And now I can see under my payment method here, I do have the seconds. So drill down to the actual seconds, not just hour, and minute. You will have the seconds on this section here as well now. The next topic we're going to talk about is add-on bundle translations displayed on the guest bill, the Stayntouch guest mobility, and then the Stayntouch guest kiosk as well. If you are a property that uses multi-languages with the translations, if a different language is selected as a default, the add-on bundle name translation will now display on the guest bill. And again, as I reiterated, the guest mobility piece with Stayntouch and then the guest kiosk as well. When the display rate name on the bill folio is enabled, so this setting is going to be under your menu here, settings. And I'm going to go to my rates and then my rates again, and then I just choose a random rate here, the American Express rate, for example, and then go ahead and toggle the rate name on bill/folio. The rate name translation will show instead of the add-on bundle translation. So I do have a screenshot here of what that will kind of look like here. So this will actually be the rate name on the bill/folio as opposed to the add-on rate translation. So this will appear on the guest bill itself here, as well as on the guest mobility piece when you are checking in, as well as if you're utilizing the guest kiosk, it will also reflect there as well. So just better enhancements to the translation and description that will actually show out to the guests when they are checking in or receive their invoice through Stayntouch here. Next topic I will cover is enhancements to our rate manager with the maximum length of stay restriction. If you are a property with a CRS that has the hierarchy restrictions and they are enabled for your hotel, when the max length of stay hierarchy restriction is added to a rate, it will pull through to revenue management and rate manager, which was the intended functionality. So it's kind of a fix that wasn't working before, but now we have released that feature that it is working now. This enhancement is to address a scenario when the max length of stay hierarchy restriction was not being pulled through the rate manager when added to a rate here. So just to show you what that looks like now, I'm just going to refresh and go back to my dashboard here. I'm going to go into revenue management here, rate manager, selecting my date range from today. We'll just do the month here. Go ahead and show all rates here. And again, if you are a property with a CRS that utilizes hierarchy restrictions here, you'll see this option at the top here. So I can open this up by clicking that tab in the middle. If I set maximum length of stay restriction on the rate level here, so I'll go ahead and click on that, set restriction, select the restriction, max length of stay. We'll do 7 nights here, and we'll go ahead and apply it to the nightly dinner package here. Hit set. Close this window here. I now see that that 7-day icon also appears on the rate itself here below here. and before that did not appear, it only appeared here at the hierarchy restrictions settings up here, but now we'll filter down to the actual rate manager section below here. Moving over to a couple of enhancements to two of our integrations, one with the revenue management system Duetto and the other one with Synexus CRS here. I'm going to go into my backend settings here. So I'm going to go into my settings here, settings again here. Go into my integrations, and then I'm going to go into revenue management system and select Duetto. So if you are a property that utilizes Duetto as your RMS system here, there is a new functionality that got released here. You now have the capability to choose whether or not you want to send the amount before tax and the amount after tax in the reservation rate and group messages by turning on or off the send both before and after tax amount here. So that's this section below here. If the toggle is turned on, both amount before tax and the amount after tax will be sent in the reservation message. By default, as you saw here, the toggle is off, so the amount before tax will exclude taxes and add-on revenue. For rate and group messages, the add-ons defined as nightly are deducted as well here. If this is something you are interested in enabling, just let us know, and also get in contact with your Duetto support or your Duetto contact that you'll be able to coordinate with them and us as well to set this up for you. The next enhancement, again, as I mentioned, was in regards to the Synexus integration with your CRS. If you're a property that uses Synexus as your CRS system here, for hotels with Synexus integration, if a hotel has defined the rate type to use in the reservations and blocks setting as amount after tax, Stayntouch now sends the group block message with the after tax tag on addition to that. This was previously only available for rate and reservation messages only, but now is a feature being shown in groups as well, with the messages being sent with the Synexus integration here. The next enhancement we will cover is going to be an API update here. So the connect API get /reservations ID /revenue tag was returning revenue by revenue type. We have now added the revenue by charge code, giving more detailed information to the vendors here. So just a glimpse of what that looks like here. Again, as I mentioned, we just added the revenue by charge code, which is going to be right here with the ID number and the code itself here. Again, just better descriptions for the vendor when they do receive that data via the API integration that we may have with them. And then the last topic we will cover today will be the deposit rules in payment links. We have introduced enhanced payment links that accommodate the deposit rules set by hotels that allow hotels to collect the correct deposit amount before and after check-in. This feature, the pre-check-in deposit rule, for example, the payment link will now take into account the hotel's deposit rule. An example would be, for example, if you collect 50% deposit required at the time of the reservation was made, and then the remaining 100% 24 hours before the check-in, the link will actually reflect the correct amount due at the time the guest opens the link here. So just again, a little screenshot of what that will look like here. You do see the amount due here, which is €5. And then once the guest receives the link or clicks on the link again closer to check-in time, the amount due, deposit due would be 0 because they've already went ahead and paid that €5 that was needed to fulfill the deposit policy there. In addition to that, we've also updated the link reusability. So within that payment link, that can be reused for the remaining payments, and it will always show the current guest to pay balance here. So I'm going to go into a reservation we have here. They're my arrivals. Oops, not that one. For Nikki Lauren here. If I go into my confirmation and I copy this link, well, let me show you this first. As you can see under deposit and balance here, they have already paid the deposit of 1,000 here. They still have an outstanding balance of 346.88 to meet the deposit requirements here. So if I go into the confirmation here and I copy this pay by link here, just copy that onto here. And it will now reflect the true amount of the deposit that is due, which is 346.88. So then again, I can go ahead and pay the deposit. and then that will fulfill my deposit needs for this particular reservation here. All right, that wraps up the enhancements released during version 5.74 and 5.75 here. I'm going to hand it back to Erin to wrap it up with our presentation today.
All right, thank you, Victor. Let me switch back to my screen. All right, I would now like to take to the floor to answer some final questions. Remember, you can submit questions through the question box in the middle of the control panel. So I'll wait a few seconds for everyone to enter any questions. All right, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'll offer some final thoughts. So today we explained how to detach an accompanying guest card, demonstrated that accompanying guest names are read-only when a guest card is attached, illustrated new filters for scheduled reports and custom exports, showed that seconds have been added to financials, credit card transactions, and then payments in the activity log timestamps, showed that add-on bundle translations are now displayed on the guest bill and via Stayntouch Guest Mobility and Kiosk, explained that properties with the Duetto integration can now choose whether or not they want to send both amount before tax and amount after tax in the reservation, rate, and group messages, explained that Synexus group block messages now send the amount after tax tag, shared Connect API updates, and finally, we demonstrated enhanced payment links that accommodate the deposit rules set by hotels. With that, I'd like to conclude our presentation. Thank you all for coming, and if you have any additional questions, please feel free to email me at erin.fisher@stayntouch.com. Thanks again.